My name is Amber Mortenstout, and this is my critical analysis. My social identities are predominantly in the dominant category. I am white, I'm middle class, I am able-bodied, I am considered middle age, and I am heterosexual. The two oppressed social identities that I have are that I am female and my religious views fall under the agnostic category. My personal beliefs and values are that I believe all humans can be good and can do good. I believe that honesty and being truthful is always the best way to go. I believe in acceptance. Discrimination and being judgmental is just not right. I believe in protection. Any type of abuse, but especially abuse of children and animals, I find unforgivable. I believe in freedom. Everybody deserves to have the freedom to choose how they spend their lives, what they do, what choices they see are best for them. And I believe people have the freedom to live the lives that they want to live. I find value in life, my family, working hard, obtaining an education, and using that to do good in the world. I value honesty and money. I value freedom, safety, and stability. I do hold biased attitudes and behaviors towards a minoritized group, specifically the homeless population. I really struggle when I see people on street corners panhandling, holding up signs that say veteran, God bless, anything helps, will work. I do acknowledge them. I know that a lot of times people will drive by and not pay any attention, which can be extremely hurtful. They are not individual, they're absolutely there. So I will acknowledge them. I'll make eye contact or, give them a head nod. Um, on occasion, I have given water or food if it happened to be in my car. I never went and purchased things to keep in my car to pass out. I did stop doing that after I had a homeless man come into my home. It actually happened on two separate occasions. I was home alone with my kids, and my husband was at work, and it was quite traumatizing. So I really struggle with interacting with the homeless population at this point. I do understand causes for homelessness, substance abuse, mental disorders, really life events, one paycheck, one catastrophe like your car breaks down or you lose your job. I can empathize, but not with all. Um, a biased attitude and behavior towards a dominant group that I have is upper middle class white men. I used to work for a female owned and operated law firm. They ran the business. There were 9 of us females that worked in the office. There were no men that worked there. Um, Due to COVID, they had to merge with a larger law firm. That law firm was ran by older white men. I found myself doing things that I was asked, regardless if it fell under the purview of my job description. I really kind of was afraid to not do what I was asked. I didn't want to lose my job. So I was willing to sacrifice my own beliefs and my own voice to appease my bosses. Two minoritized or oppressed groups that I have had biased attitude and behavior towards. One I previously discussed was homeless persons, specifically when they are panhandling on street corners. I think I find that maybe the hardest to process. An attitude that I hold is that it's laziness. They want a free handout, that they're trying to support a drug habit. They are unable or unwilling to work. The behavior I exhibit is I don't give any money, food, or water. Um, When the guy came in my house those two times, that's when I stopped giving what I did have. I wouldn't primarily give money, but if I had a bottle of water that was unopened, or there were a couple of times I'd went through the drive-through and had gotten myself something to eat, and before I was able to eat it, I felt called to give that to someone I saw. But after the guy came in my home, I've stopped doing that completely. Another minoritized or oppressed group is Black men, specifically men that appear to be aggressive and catcalling women. My attitude towards that is it's disgusting and scary. As a white woman, I think my behavior really depends on the situation and the location I'm in. Who could be there? What time of day is it? Do I see them as potentially a physical threat to my safety? I have either ignored or accepted the comments. I was non-threatening, a laugh, or, trying to minimize what they were saying and how uncomfortable I was. Um, on a couple of occasions, I have confronted them and explained that type of conversation is unwanted. I see it as very disrespectful and that it's not going to be tolerated. Um, I wish I felt safe to do that more often, but unfortunately, I don't. Dominant and privileged groups that I've held attitudes and behaviors towards. White men, specifically men that appear to have financial security or social status. The attitude I have is, well, they're intelligent. They know what they're talking about and that they wouldn't hurt me. Behavior is, I usually just listen. I don't argue thoughts, feelings, or beliefs. Sometimes I feel inadequate and that they are better than I am, so I have to do what they're asking me to do. The other dominant group would be Christians, specifically people that announce they're Christian, Baptist, or Catholic. The attitude I hold is they are very aggressive in their views, see themselves as righteous, and want to make others feel as if they're wrong, and making attempts to convert them. Normally, what I do is I just don't talk about my own religious views. I have on occasion just agreed, which goes against my belief and value of honesty, but I did it in order to save myself from having to engage in a conversation about how they are right and I am wrong, and I'm going to spend eternity in hell. The cycle of socialization has brought me to these beliefs and values that I hold. I grew up in a white family. Although my mom was a single mom, we were poor. My maternal grandparents actually spent a lot of time helping my mom raise my sister and I, and they were middle class, upper middle class. My grandma would say things like, there's class and then there's trash. She'd refer to other people essentially as less than her if they didn't have money or social status, or they weren't seen out in the world as the haves. They would be considered the have-nots. My dad's side of my family, she considered trash. They were poor. They were farmers. They owned their own farm, and she thought that that was just not good enough. She would refer to herself and my grandpa as class. They had financial stability, they had nice homes, they drove nice cars, they dressed well, they would vacation. Institutional and cultural socialization. American society as a whole places white middle class men at the top of the power hierarchy. White men hold all the power and they make all the rules. So we learn to just do what's expected of us. The enforcement, being part of the majority in many of my social identities, gives me access to privilege and opportunity that other minority groups don't have. I'm white. At this point, I'm middle aged. I found it a very rare occurrence that I ever just stood out. I just always fell into the pattern of doing what I was told to do. I don't like to be seen as a problem or make waves. I don't like to be bothered. I really enjoy being alone and feeling accepted. Um, I'm honestly afraid of confrontation in most settings. So the continuation, it'll continue as long as I do nothing about it. But luckily, I haven't continued to just do nothing. I'm taking classes like this one to further educate myself, help others that are minority groups. I accept people for who they are. I listen when they speak. I value what they say. I am non-judgmental. I use awareness and honesty in order to confront my own biases. I'm willing to hear and see other people for what they have to say and for who they are. I don't feel that I'm superior to anyone. I validate other people's experiences quite often, especially through the Kent School of Social Work's couples and family therapy. I've had the privilege of doing a practicum site at the Family Health Center where I worked with almost exclusively minority groups, and I loved being able to do that. It really helped me grow and become better at helping other people that were not privileged in the same ways that I was. I see cultural humility as a lifelong journey, and I am always going to use empathy as a pathway towards connecting with others. There is a connection between my biases and my beliefs. I know that I believe all humans can be good and do good, but doesn't mean I believe that all humans are good or are doing good. Um, I believe people should be honest and truthful always, even though sometimes I am not. I really try to be. I know that people aren't always honest. They don't have that same value or belief that I hold. I believe in acceptance and being non judgmental and non discriminatory. Um, Outside of the instance where the man entered my home, I have never been rude or hateful towards any homeless person. I just really struggle with helping at this point in my life. I believe that um, being non abusive is the most important thing that we can do. Kindness heals. I believe that everyone deserves the freedom to be who they want to be, but I do not hold the belief that anyone's choices should negatively affect or impact anyone else. My values and biased attitudes and behaviors, I do value hard work. So, since I have worked full time since I was 15, the only exception in my entire life was this past year, my first year of grad school. Heading into summer in my second year, I'll be working full time while in school full time. So, when I see homeless persons panhandling, I really have a hard time because, in my opinion, that's not hard work. That's relying on others to pay your way through society. I value safety. The reason behind why I base my behavioral responses to being catcalled is really based on how safe it would be, whether I ignore it or accept it, or how safe it could potentially be if I were to stand up for it or stand up against it for myself. I value money and stability. This can be seen through the lack of response when I've been asked to do things that fall outside of my job description from the space holding old white men. Um, I'm afraid to make waves and go against them because I was afraid to lose my job, which would take away my ability to provide for my family. Impact of social work. At the micro level, I think values and beliefs that I hold could be of assistance in many different social groups. I feel like I could work with all groups because I just want to be helpful. I'm not judgmental. I am accepting. That only minority group that I would struggle with is the homeless population. From a meso level, I could work with groups and in communities to develop programs, offer any needed assistance, and foster connection through other groups in order to build and share available resources in the area. I think I could work especially well in a school setting. I do have a hard time with bodily fluid. After I had my daughter, I now have this inability to see blood or vomit. Um, Seeing wounds really turns my stomach. I get nauseous, dizzy. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I'll start gagging or throwing up. I think not for any value or belief, but due to my physical response, I wouldn't do so well in a hospital setting. On the macro level, I think through my educational background and social location, I can help with larger social issues. I can work in a team. I can work hard to reach goals that we set in order to better our communities, our state, and even our country. My biases toward the homeless could actually be a benefit here because I would probably work harder to get assistance for housing, treatment, and employment so no one had to deal with the homeless population. They could assist themselves. Hopefully, there could be policies in place that would help them help themselves. By not addressing my attitudes and behaviors that are biased, it actually will hold a big impact on my social work practice. I could potentially cause harm to the people I'm supposed to be helping. I would be violating the social work code of ethics, the principle of service. I wouldn't be able to extend help to all people in need and address the social problem of homelessness if I can't get my own biased feelings under control. I would violate the ethical principle of social justice by struggling to work with and behalf of the homeless population. Individuals and groups that are vulnerable and oppressed, they face poverty, unemployment, and discrimination. I wouldn't be best suited to help them. The ethical principle of dignity and worth of a person. I think I would struggle with respecting the inherent dignity and worth of homeless persons. I am caring and respectful, but would still struggle to help them and help them address their own needs. The last one would be the ethical principle of competence. If this is left unaddressed, I wouldn't be able to develop or enhance my own skill, um, which would lead me to not being able to develop a professional expertise and increase knowledge and skill for helping others that really need it. Thank you.